You're listening to the Scarf Bagara War, part of the Talksport Fan Network, and charity partners with Mentel, for county fans, by county fans.
Good evening and welcome to Season 2, Episode 33 of the Courtyard Club Call, brought to you by the Scarf Bagara War Team. I am Jimmy Harmer and I am joined by Dan and Big Rolo, and we're going to be talking about the Leyton Orient superb defensive display, getting us a win against proper, bona fide, genuine promotion rivals. Big 6-pointer, and I can't wait to dissect this game. How are you two doing, Dan? I know you were there, and I know, Rolo, you were watching from some weird and wonderful country like I was. So Dan, it's your birthday yesterday. Fantastic birthday present for you.
It's been a brilliant weekend, birthday weekend, a great away day, county win, City lose, United lose. It just doesn't get any much better than this.
Yeah. So I want to know what's going on in the water around here, because it was your birthday yesterday. It was Russ's birthday is Russ's birthday today of this parish. And apparently it's Macca's birthday today as well, my daughter told me. So I'm trying to work back 9 months from here. Are you like Easter bunny baby type things? So your parents were getting jiggy with it sort of around the Easter time?
The thought of my parents getting jiggy with it is something I just don't even want to think about, to be honest. Let's put it down that, all the good people are born at the beginning of February.
Well, you know what they say about rabbits, don't you? So that's Easter time. So I'm just thinking that's what was happening.
Let's not think about that, to be honest.
Do you want to take us through the team then instead, Dan? Get it back.
Yeah, no worries. Right. So Dave Challoner's sort of pre-match interview sort of suggested there would be one player that would likely be missing due to a knock and the risk of playing that player. Now, for all those that play the Fan Hub game are trying to pick your 11, I didn't. I kept with the same 11 as the previous week because I knew that if I picked a player to come out, it would be the wrong player. The player that did come out was obviously Callum Camps. We know that he's had issues before with his shoulder and stuff like that. So not saying it was a shoulder injury that kept him out, but I wouldn't be surprised that it was. And hopefully he's not out for long and he's back to full fitness. Starting 11 was obviously Ben in goal. A back three is sort of normal now of Ethan Pye, Callum Connolly and Carl Noyle. Midfield, obviously, Lewis Bate came back in as captain to partner up Ollie Norwood. Then it was sort of like a front. Well, you had obviously Macca and Torre as your wing backs with Collar and then Tanto and Wootton up front. Formation-wise, this was, and obviously, if you think you've got a better idea what the formation was, then please message in or comment. I had it starting as a back three, a midfield three. On the description, obviously, if you're an audio listener, the description's got a front four, but I think Collar was more in the hole behind Wootton. Definitely a Laffy and Macca were playing really, really wide and stretching that pitch as wide as possible, with Wootton obviously being the point. At times, I thought it sort of went into a back two with Carl Noyle and Torre sort of joining Norwood in that midfield three, with sort of Collar and Bate really on the prowl, and same again, Tanto really on the left wing, Macca on the right, to the point where they're actually just sort of running on the white lines of the pitch to stretch that pitch really, really wide. And same again, Wootton up front. Obviously, as the game's gone through, and we'll talk about it, there's different formations. I think we've 4 or 5 different formations throughout the game. But yeah, the starting one, that's sort of, I think, how we went. We were really positive on the front foot. If you think it was slightly different, then, that's brilliant. But, please comment whatever platform you're listening or watching this on, and what you thought the formation was during that first half would be great.
It was super fluid, wasn't it, Lee? I mean, how did
Mm.
you see us line up?
I thought we were fantastic, to be honest with you. With it, I think when we had the ball, it was more like a kind of sort of 3-4-3 for me. Then without the ball, we seemed to switch into like a 4, sometimes even a 5. But I thought everything that we did off the ball, and even in the first half, I mean, obviously looking at the attack side of it, but even in the first half, everything we did off the ball was perfect. Our press was nearly perfect, and you can't get better than that. So yeah, really, really proud of the lads yesterday.
I think the thing that really stands out for me is that every player in that team, and I'm going to caveat it maybe with the first 11, but they know where they should be on the pitch when we're attacking, when we're defending, and it just seems so natural for them to fall into whatever position that we need to be wherever the ball is on the pitch, and that really sort of played through it in that first half. I mean, Dave said, he used the term functionally, we were the best that he's sort of seen us, whatever that might mean. But I think that's effectively what he's talking about, isn't it? Where the players are on the pitch and how well they're playing. And that first half, bearing in mind we're playing a team who have, am I right in saying they were unbeaten in 11? Is that right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
unbeaten in
no
11 at home, tails high. And we smashed them in that first half. I'm going to bore people with some stats, but we had XG of 0.99 against the 0.39 for them. 10 shots we had, 5 on target with 3 big chances, and they only had 3 shots and 1 shot on target. And I'm right in saying, Dan, that we should have been a couple up at least at halftime, shouldn't we?
Definitely. I mean, that first half against Leyton Orient for me was probably one of the best halves of football I've seen County play, not just under Dave Chandler, but full stop. And like I said, the only gripe you could have with that first half is that 1-0 was not deserving for all the work and effort that team put in the first half, and we should, like I say, be 2 or 3-0 up by a long shot. And obviously, we have that fear that 1-0 is going to come and bite us in the arse. And you obviously have that worry, but yeah, that first half it was out. You know, if we started, I mean, the county fans were singing "We're taking the piss," you know, during that first half, and so I mean, you could have been singing "It's just like watching Brazil," because it was absolutely brilliant, and it not just what, like you say, what we were doing on the ball, but the amount of work and effort that everybody was putting in off the ball we were that first half for me, we would have beaten every team in the division and half of the championship. You know, on any day, that first half performance was that good.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly surprised him, I think. And the goal for the big man, for 14 minutes, good time to score. Do you want to take us through that goal, Lee, if you can remember it?
Yeah, so obviously the ball comes in, doesn't it? It falls nicely to Ethan Pye, and he's caught that beautifully. It's flying into the net. That is, by the way, just if the lad don't block it, and because the defender didn't just kicked it and then he hit it and then it bounced to water, and it's that predatory instinct that you need as a forward, don't you? Just to expect things to come to you, and he's managed to stick his big toe on the end of it, and it doesn't really matter how they go in as long as they go in. So yeah, I was pleased for one, because I think he's worked really hard these last few weeks without really getting his rewards. So it's nice for him to get a goal. It just would have been nice for Tanto to have got one as well, because he's been working hard and playing well. So I was really hoping that Tanto had got a goal in there. But it was a great goal, and like we said there, we could have scored more. Probably should have scored more. And again, off the ball, we were. I don't think we've done a lot wrong off the ball this year. I think, this season we've been pretty good, and it's been some of the on-the-ball stuff where we've been a bit sloppy or made the wrong decision. And yesterday, it just seemed to click a bit that we made the right decision pretty much every time.
Yeah, I've got to agree with that. And I mean, the thing with Tanto, he absolutely had them on toast, didn't he, Dan? I mean,
yeah.
on the TV, in fairness, their right wing back or right centre back, I think it was, right centre back, Ethan Galbraith. He's a midfielder, and he's sort of put back into their defence. but Tanto was just skinning him time and time again. Did you feel sorry for him, Dan, that he didn't end up getting a goal?
Tanto, yeah, I mean, it's going to come, and then there was a few opportunities there where he's got to the byline, the angle's tight, the keeper's managed, he's tried to sort of nutmeg the keeper, I think, but he's just the willingness to run from Tanto. You know, that Ben knew that the out ball was there. When you've got Ollie Norwood as well that can ping sort of diagonal passes for fun, and you've got a willing runner, you know, and he's Tanto's giving this lad, the defender, like 10 yards head start at times, and he's still skinned him. And you can just see it as soon as that ball's in the air, he's made up the head start the defender's already got, and once it's landing, the defender is just worried. He's just worried about making the wrong decision, and he just nicks it and goes. Obviously, like I say, the first, all of them. I mean, I just, like I say, a absolute complete performance from every player on the pitch, to be honest. There might have been the one or two kicks that went a bit astray with Ben, but the majority of his kicks and the way he found, like you say, Tanto at times was just, it was amazing.
Mm. I mean, a special mention for Will Collar in that first half, because he was, the whole team were, but he was all over the place. I thought he in a good way. He was like chasing down everything, working well on the right hand side with Maka, and I mean, second half he was blowing through his arse, wasn't he? He really was, and that's one of the reasons why we made some changes, I think. But so just going back to that first half, lovely to see Bate back, wasn't it, Lee? Obviously, it's his first start, I think, isn't it, since his injury? Lovely to have him back.
Massive Lewis Bate fan. I think he makes us tick a lot. And I think it's better for Norwood having him there next to him as well, because he's got that quality where he can drop his shoulder, he can turn, and I think what I've always seen with this season with Bate is when he plays well, we play well. As a team, when he's on fire, County are on fire. He's a big player for us, and you know, hopefully, I know there was rumours, it's not so long ago, that someone wanted him, but hopefully that's not the case, and we can keep hold of him for a bit, because he's definitely got the ability. That first half, again, he was involved in everything, wasn't he? You know, just knocking little balls in and little around the corners and stuff like that. So
he was running rings around Darren Pratley, and Darren Pratley, I know he's getting on a bit now, but he's got quality about him. You know, and he's a quality player, and he was absolutely running rings around him, to the point where, like I said, I think Darren Pratley's head was just spinning. He'd be having nightmares. Yeah.
Well, he came off at half time, didn't he? I think Darren Pratley. He was hooked. But I think the thing that impresses me with Bate now, I mean, like when we first started the season, we were using him as this guy to take the ball off Adai and then sort of pop it off to the wings, where he's playing a lot more now with his back, or he's not playing as much with his back to goal. He's receiving the ball so he can look forward, and so he can make better passes, or as you say, Dan, he can drop his shoulder, he can beat a man, and he's off, isn't he, into that space between the central defence and the midfielders. And I think we're seeing the very best of him in that more sort of free role, where he doesn't have to be the bottom of the pivot anymore. He's a bit further up the pitch. So
the difference of him picking up the ball near between the end of the centre circle in our 18-yard box, opposed to him picking the ball up in the opposition half, and that's the difference with him. If he picks up the ball in that, let's say, that third of, like say, attacking wise near the end of the centre circle that way, and he turns, he's devastating, and he's more effective than he is if he's picking the ball up in our own half. And yeah, that is definitely the difference between, I use that word, functional, but you know, he's a solid player when he can do that job, but he's devastating when he picks the ball up in them areas in the attacking third.
So
I think it'll be interesting if he starts adding goals to his game. You know, I think he'll attract a lot of attention if that, you know, because he's got a shot on him as well. He can hit a ball. I think if he starts doing that, we could be at risk of losing.
Yeah, no, it is a good point. I mean, he scored a worldie against Chester in the pre-season friendly. But yeah, we've not seen much of his shooting boots, have we? But I think we'll forgive him for that for now.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, first half, obviously, super brilliant performance, and then we knew, didn't we, that Leyton Orient couldn't be. I'm not saying that they were bad, but we made them look bad. But we knew that they would potentially come out and sort of cause us some problems. And it really was a case of, as the Americans would chant, defense. It really was, wasn't it? We were like so solid at the back, Dan. I mean, although they had 77% possession, I didn't really think they were going to score. What did you feel in the actual ground?
I mean, a bit I mean, always nervy when it's 1-0, and the closer it gets to full time, then you're always thinking, oh no, or we'd have took a draw anyway, so you sort of resign yourself to that. But they're playing everything in front of us. They were lobbing the balls up for Connolly to head and Pye to head. You know, I think our weakest point and where teams can get at us is if they come round the back of us and get to the byline and pull it back. We struggle defending towards our goal, but they never did that. They kept on wanting to sort of like lump it through the middle and try and get into one-on-ones with Connolly in the air and stuff like that. So for me, they played into our hands a little bit. And yes, it was a little bit nervy, but it was never really that threatening. I don't even recall Ben having to make sort of worldy saves like he did against Shrewsbury or something like that. So yeah, I think the scoreline will always make it feel more nervy than it is, but it was a very much like a training exercise, attacker v defence. As much as good as we were in the first half attacking, it was like you say the cliche of game of two halves. In the second half, it was like you say all defence, but it was players like Ethan Pye and Connolly and same here Maka. I thought Maka, as good as he's attacking defensively, he just never stopped. He was just an absolute nuisance for players trying to get away with the ball. He just would not give him the space. And if you like defending and you're a defender that likes defending, that was a perfect second half for them.
345 passes down they had in that second half.
Yeah.
81% pass accuracy means fuck all, doesn't it? Let's face it. They had 6 shots, none on target.
Yeah.
How many of them are effective passing? It's all about the idea of passing the ball is to create space, is to move teams about, and I just don't think they did that to us. And I think that's credit to us really more than sort of on, because they had some good ball playing players, but I thought we just everything that we did off the ball in terms of the spaces, where to move, when one moved the other one shifted. It was really in unison. It was the perfect sort of display second half in terms of off the ball, how to do it. And I think they could have played all night and not scored against us, that we were defending that well. They had the one chance, and to be fair, he got in. It was a bit of a lucky round of thing that he got, and got the ball and the lad missed it. Other than that, nothing. Ben could have sat there on a deck chair. You know what I mean? He had nothing to do. So
yeah. I mean, we started the second half with like a formation of 3 at the back, and that obviously changed rather quickly into a 4, and then that didn't seem to be sort of getting a grip of the game, and then he sort of changed it to a back 5 again. But like I say, I talked before, I just felt that at half time we all thought that Leyton Orient were going to come out and have a response. We know they were a better team than what they showed in the first half, and maybe we just sort of like over worried ourselves that there was a response coming, and we sort of thought, well, we'll sit back and see what weather the storm for 5 minutes, and then we'll get going again. But we never got to the heights or what we ever did in the first half in that second half. But like you say, they kept on knocking, but they weren't really doing anything, getting through us or anything like that. So like you say, just weren't threatening. It was, I just thought if we were gonna give a goal away, it was going to be a goal from our own doing, our own mistake, or a silly penalty given away, or something. It'd be our own reason that we allowed them to score a goal.
Should we talk about the subs then? Because we did bring 3 players on. So Odin Bailey and Jack Diamond came on 64 minutes, and they replaced Bate and Tanto. And then we also brought Micah Hamilton on 75 minutes. And he came on for, as I said, Will Collar, he put such a shift in. You do worry, or I do worry when I see a midfield without either Bate or Camps, because they are both very good at sort of settling play down and very confident on the ball. And we did start struggling in that second half, I thought, no matter how well we defended. And I've got a little clip from Dave just sort of telling us what he was thinking about the subs that he made. So I'll just add this.
The subs at half time and said that they would win us the game. I wanted them to win us the game a little bit better than what they did. I think with what we had on the pitch with Micah and Jack at the top end with dribblers, I want them to give us more. They have to give us more of an outlet and go and impact the game. But we've made the decision to sort of bank in, I suppose, taking belief off what we did at Crystal Palace a few weeks ago, and we've defended our goal really well.
So the idea was to bring on two players that can add pace, add dribbling ability, and hopefully catch them, because they were ensconced, or they were very high up the pitch. Didn't quite work, and I know we've been sort of full of praise for the defence and how well we played that game and the shape that we played in. But there's still this little niggle, isn't there? I think, with whether our bench is good enough to sort of supplement that first team. What do you think, Lee? Do you think I'm being hard because I have sort of liked Jack Diamond a little bit to Ollie Crankshaw, who obviously didn't work at County. Do you think I'm being harsh there or not?
No, because I mean, ultimately, the statistics will speak for itself in terms of it. Have they done enough in games when they've come on? Have they impacted games as often as they should? And I'm not just saying that to Diamond. I mean the subs in general. Have we impacted games enough? Is always going to be what's looked at. I think yesterday, we couldn't keep the ball up top. Was one of the problems. And when we did get on the ball, Diamond had a couple of good situations, made the wrong decision, maybe more than once, but worked hard enough when he came on. Bailey, I like Odin Bailey. I'm a big fan of Odin Bailey. I just don't know what his best position is anymore. He seemed to play in the centre of midfield, and he did well enough. Hamilton looked a little bit lost when he came on. I'm not too sure if he knew exactly what his job was at that point. But he's not, for me, he doesn't strike me as a sort of player that's going to be, battling it out for 50-50s and, throwing his body in and stuff like that. He looked a little bit neater and tidier than that. So maybe we needed to be a little bit more neat, tidier around him in terms of it. But yeah, it's an interesting one with the subs because you'd rely on any of those players to come in and start a game that are on that bench. You would. But would you rely on every single one of those players to come off the bench and do a job for you? I'm not 100% sure that I would. So hopefully this next day or so or this next sort of 24 hours, we see one or two reinforcements.
I think you hit the nail on the head there with Jack. He does put so much effort in, and I wonder whether part of it now is that he's just second guessing himself. It's not, he's not playing naturally. And when you're not playing naturally, just that split second of what shall I do here, he's just not quite making that right decision, whether it's holding onto the ball a little bit too long or making the wrong type of pass or making the wrong type of run. We know he's got skill. We know he can beat players. And maybe it's also unfair because he tends to be coming on when our better players have been subbed off. So Will Collar sort of holds that sort of midfield and attack together. Wotton's knackered by that stage of the game when he's coming on. Tanto's not there as an out ball, and then you might not have Bate on as well. So it's hard, isn't it, for the subs to come on and sort of make that difference without the other better players around them, maybe.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I agree. Diamond, he's played a lot. We should play him out wide a lot. He's played a lot of his career, according to a friend of mine who's a Sunderland fan, as a central midfielder in terms of an attacking central midfielder. And I'd like to see him given a go there. To be honest with you, I think if we had a game Tuesday night, which I'll be playing this Tuesday, or is it next Tuesday? I'm just trying to think.
No,
it's the following.
not
Yeah, Bristol. It's the following one, isn't it? Yeah, is maybe give him a run out instead of Collar, because like you said, Collar looked really, really leggy yesterday. Maybe, when we've got a Saturday, Tuesday, give him a rest and start Diamond in there, maybe see how he gets on. Because I do like Jack Diamond. I think he's got a lot about him. He's just, maybe his confidence isn't 100%. He's had a rough few years and everything like that. Just maybe needs that little bit of confidence to come back for him. So hopefully it does, because I'm a big fan.
Dan, what do you think of this? A second booking for time wasting in two games. So Toure last game, Noyle this game. What do you think?
It was. I think. I don't know if you saw it on the TV, but Noyle's face sort of said it all. Really, sort of looked in sort of disbelief when he got booked and sort of screwing his face up about it. And after that, he made sure that the referee told him when it was safe to take a throw in or do anything. He waited for the referee to make the decision before he did anything. I say I've got no problem if that's if that's the standard the referee wants to set, then set it, but then follow through with it for the whole game. What frustrates me is, and I mean, Dave Challoner said it before, it's the inconsistency and we're not talking about from one game to another. We're not even talking one half to another. We're talking from 5 minutes in a game that the referee is saying that this is time wasting, and then 5 minutes later it's twice as longer and it's not time wasting, or one thing's a foul and something else which is identical isn't a foul. So yeah, it's the inconsistency. If for me, set your stall out as a referee. If that's the bar that you're set, then stick to it. And that's the frustrating bit, because, like I say, if fans don't know what the standard is or the bar is with a referee, then the players have got no chance of knowing.
You do run the risk, though. I mean, if an opposition player was taking that long to take throw-ins, because he was taking ages to take his throw-ins because there was no one to throw it to. If he's taking 20, 25 seconds on a throw-in, that's potentially one less attack that you're going to face at the very end of a game. Look at Wrexham; they scored on 96th minute. It's. I don't know whether it's coming from Dave saying take your time with these and we'll waste a bit of time, or whether it is literally because there's nobody making a decent run for him.
I think it's more a bit of game management, isn't it, really? It's every team does it. I knew he was going to get booked yesterday. I'd already called. I said, "Don't say this in a minute. He's getting booked," and there it was straight away, because he didn't just do it once. And what I loved about Noel is he takes about 20 yards up the pitch as well every time he gets a throw in. I'm just waiting for it one time for it to be an hour half and go in theirs. He's really good at that. But it's game management. You're catching your breath, aren't you? It's you're trying to slow the game down. And I thought Ibby was very unlucky to get his against Shrewsbury, because he'd not really been that bad. And the referee straight away, like Dan said there, he actually set his stall out straight when you're in the book. And I was like, well, hang on a minute, he's not done that much there. But Noyle was, I'll be honest, he was taking the piss. But yeah, I don't mind that. He can do that update for me.
Just talking about Toure, Dan, did you feel it was a penalty for that handball in the ground? I mean, obviously me and Lee, we saw it on the TV and we were like, absolutely no chance. But no, you didn't.
No, it was. Like I say, it wasn't obvious. It was, but we've seen him given against us. Always the caveat, isn't it? No, I mean, no, I don't think there was any county fan that looked worried or gasped or anything like that, or thought we got away with one. It was just never a penalty. They were obviously calling for it, and as the home fans do, they were desperate for any bit of luck to go their way. But no, it was never a penalty. I mean, going back to the yellow cards, so far this season, we've had 58 yellow cards and 1 red card. So I think it's on standard average that we get 2 bookings a game at the moment. Is a sort of like the level where we are, but I don't think that's that bad, to be honest.
No, I'd take that, definitely. 2 a game. Yeah.
And it's not like it's petulance, is it? You know what I mean? It's game management. So, I'm quite happy to get those bookings. That's not an issue. You don't ever want them, obviously, but I'd rather get that than say maybe, spitting your dummy out or something like that. But that penalty, never a pen. It's stomach. His arm.
Yeah, he hit his stomach and then his arm. We can't do anything about that.
But did you hear Wellings after the game? No, sorry, Dan. Did you hear Wellings after the game?
Yeah, I mean,
he got a bit fruity. Yeah.
The Wellings one is quite interesting because I listened to both his pre-match and his post-match. In the pre-match interview with Wellings, he talked about how much the game was going to be dependent on the second ball, who was going to win the second ball, and that would come out on top. And I thought actually that was quite a good sort of look at the game because I thought we won the second balls, especially in that first half, and that's how we dominated the game by winning them second balls. Obviously, there's these posts after the game, his interview, he's come across a bit bitter, I thought, to be honest. He was sort of looking for every excuse under the sun, opposed to actually saying we played a really good team and we were, they were the better team in the first half and we just couldn't get anything out the second half. He was looking to blame the referee, Tottenham Hotspurs, whoever else you could blame on the day, to be honest.
He's had to retract that, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Afterwards. But yeah, I mean, he was saying like the referee cost. I mean, if he thinks the referee cost him that game, then I'd be more worried if I was an Orient fan, because that wasn't what lost him that game at all, and it was never a penalty in a million years. So when you scream for him as an home fan, and I'd scream for him, but if you watch that back, if that's at the other end, you go, nah, we'd have been lucky to get that one.
I thought the ref had a really good game, to be honest. I think, okay, he booked Noyle, but as you said, Lee, I'd have probably booked Noyle because he was annoying me and he's my player. So I can understand that. Okay, so should we go on to man of the match then? Who are you going for, Dan?
I all of them. Honestly, I think it would be absolutely unfair to pick one individual player out. The only person that shouldn't get it is Ben because Ben's not done anything. Let's be absolutely honest. He's not done anything all game. He's had probably one of the easiest games out. He's had a couple of kicks that have gone into touch, but that's normal. But for Ben,
he's come for a couple of crosses and he's
he's not done any. He's had a harder game against Shrewsbury. Let's be absolutely honest.
Yeah.
But everybody else, I absolutely thought, they might have not got the work or the influence on the ball, but off the ball, they were absolutely outstanding. So I don't know how you would pick a man of the match out of that lot. Even, like I say, players that you might not even think about, Toure and Noyle, I thought were both outstanding. Maka just plays like I said, every game is his last game, and you just enjoy watching him. Ethan Pye, I think, got the man of the match on FOTMob, but yeah, I mean,
you're sitting on the fence here, Dan. I asked for one man of the match, and you're giving me the whole team.
I don't see how you honestly that starting 11, how you could easily give it to any of them 10 outfield players, and I would not argue with you one bit to say you've got that. I didn't agree with it because every single one I thought was absolutely outstanding. So yeah, I don't know how you pick one out of that lot because same again, I can't pick one out.
Okay, so you can't pick one. Lee, can you pick one?
Well, based on what he said there, having Ben, I thought he was absolutely. No, for me, it was between one of three for me, which was Pye, Norwood, and Bate. And listen, that's not taken away from any of the others, but if I was to give it to anyone, I'd give it to Ethan Pye. He's like the son I've always wanted. He's just he's an incredible player, and I thought he did really well. I think. It's like dance. It's really difficult to pick, but I think I'd after he just shades it for me. And it's probably because I love him so much, but yeah, he just shades it for me.
Are you giving us all a clue that your next big cardboard cutout for next season will be Ethan Pye? Then is it?
Well, we'll have to wait and see on that. There's conversations going on at the moment. Who would you like me to get as a cardboard cutout?
Well, that's not down to me, but obviously all the listeners want to comment on who the next big cardboard cutout should be. After
I think it should be Russ Johnson.
Russ Johnson.
Yeah,
I can make that happen.
He's trying to raise money here. Nobody's going to want a photo.
Well, we'll see. I can't say too much at the minute. We have talked about it already.
I'm guessing that depending on the size of the cutout is the cost. So I'm assuming Corey Adai is going to be off the list just because it's going to cost a lot more to get him cut out in a life size.
Yeah, the problem is you can't get one at 6'8". They come up to 6 foot. So it's. I think some of them you can get 7 foot. So we could always get that one, but then you've got people that sit behind us, and it's like, well, is it fair on? I mean, it's bad enough they've got me, let alone having a cardboard cut out there as well to irritate them. So, but yeah, I mean, we might do you yet, Jimmy. You know what I mean? We might just do you, yeah, and put you on there. That's the picture there, the smile.
Well, the person behind you, if it's me, I'm 5'8", so they'll be fine. They'll be able to see no matter what. No problems with that. Cool. So I'm going to go with Ethan Pye. I think he's just getting better and better and better. He's got 2.5 years left on his contract. And I think at the end of the season, there's going to be a big decision to be made here. Whether we can tie him down to another contract, give him better terms, or whether we sort of cash in, because this kid is worth 5, 6, 7 million quid in my book. Because he's doing it at League One now. He's done it at National League. He's done it at League Two. He's doing it at League One. He just looks like such a comfortable, calm influence at the back. And I think it's sad that we're not going to see him continue at the club for the next sort of 3, 4, 5 years, unless we can get promoted. If we get promoted this season, we keep him, I think, because then he's worth 10 to 15 million quid if he does it in the Championship for us. So,
I was going to say that I agree with you, Jimmy. If we go to the Championship, and I know it's a big if, but and he starts the Championship season the way he's playing and improving, he'll be the first county player to leave for 10 million. He'll be a record sell, no doubt about that. For me, because like you say, he's a Rolls Royce player, and I've said it. We talked about this before, but I still think he could do a job in midfield, Ethan Pye. I think he's that composed on the ball. He wins the ball back. I see a younger version of Declan Rice, to be honest.
I was just going to say that, a left-footed version of Declan Rice. Yeah.
He's definitely got the ability, hasn't he? And what I love about Ethan Pye is that every challenge that he's faced, he's overcome. When he's made mistakes, he's come back better. And I was talking the other day about, I know people don't want to hear about Louis Barry and getting his opportunity at Villa. And the thing is with young players, this is the difference between whether or not they make it. They're going to make mistakes. That's a fact. It happens. Every one of them does it. That's how they learn from them. And those that go on to have really successful careers learn from them, progress from them. And that's what, unfortunately, in the top leagues, they don't get to do that. They don't get a chance to make mistakes before they're, outcast. Whereas Ethan, he's made his mistakes, and I'm sure he'll be the first one to say it. He's come back strong and he don't make those mistakes again. And he's incredible. He's incredible. And, what's it, 9-year contracts are floating about these days? Maybe we can sort something like that out for him and get him tied down really long, because he's the best. He's the best central defender I've seen since Mike Flynn, and he's better than Flinney because he's so good on the ball. But he's an incredible talent.
But it's interesting that you say that Mike Flynn, because I believe he was the guy that recommended the club to Ethan Pye when he was released by Rochdale all those years ago. So Flinney should be getting paid something for.
It's true. Well, all that Rochdale, because I'd seen Flinney, because when Kieran was playing football, Flinney was scouting, and we got chatting, and he said like all the Rochdale, all the team got released after they just won the league, this youth team, and then obviously we picked up Ethan Pye out of it, and without a shadow of a doubt, he'll play in the Premier League. He'll play in the Premier League, and I think he's going to be one of those. And I think someone said this might have been the other week. It's going to be similar, maybe to someone like Ashley Williams, where he goes somewhere like Everton, something like that. Gets starts and becomes great, and ends up somewhere like Arsenal or Chelsea or somewhere like that, and we hopefully make another killing.
And hopefully we've got a good sell on for him as well, and whatever when he does depart the club, that we do put a good sell on clause in there, because like you say, on his trajectory, he's going to go to the top for definite. Also, coming on, obviously, what Challoner said about team goals, out of that starting 11 on Saturday, there's only one player that hasn't actually scored a league goal yet so far this season, in Ibi Toure. So he might be one for, if you have a first goal scorer or any time goal scorer bet, Torre may be the man because he's the only one so far not to score. Jimmy's
No chance.
knocking his head. No, not a
Absolutely no
chance.
chance, Dan.
No?
I'm keeping my £1 in my pocket because Ibby's not scoring a goal this
Oh, I
season.
don't know. I think he's come close in that he's having shots and he's not. You think back last few games, he's been a bit unlucky because he's actually got a shot away. And same again, Macca's getting his shots in and chances in, and it's definitely been an emphasis on both of them to sort of get chances and have a go. But yeah, Torre's the only one so far not to score a league goal in that starting 11. So, Ibby, if you're listening to this, it's about time you scored. You know, Macca's outscoring you. And I'm not being funny, but any of them players on that team sheet to have Macca outscore you in the season, then, you know, you need to have a good look at yourself. And because, you know, it's simple as that.
Should we just finish with a look at the league table? Because that is looking really nice at the moment. So we're in 4th place. Obviously, Birmingham are way, way, way ahead. They've played 27 games. They're on 63 points. Wickham, 29 games, 59 points. Wrexham, 29 games, 55. And then little old Stockport County, on the heels of Wrexham, same games played, 29. We're on 50 points. So 7th position Charlton, they're on 44. So we're opening up a nice 6-point gap there. And it's looking good. I mean, we've got Barnsley at the weekend. That's right, 12:30 kickoff.
Yeah.
They're not doing too well. They've so the last 4 games they've lost 3 and drawn 1. So maybe we're playing them at a good time. I don't know. But if we can put them to the sword as well, we go 10 points clear of them. So maybe that's too far, too many points for them to pull back. I don't know.
Well, at the moment we're on
Tuesday.
we're on 1.8 points per game so far this season,
Yeah.
which will take us around about at the end of the season on that trajectory to about 79 points, which should be round about that last playoff place, I reckon. So, you know, it's looking good. It's looking promising. You know, we've got some hard games ahead of us, but then on paper, you would say we've got winnable games against Cambridge and Bristol Rovers.
Yeah.
In true county fashion, we'll beat the ones that we think are hard games, and we'll lose and drop points against the ones we think should be actually an easier game. But that's county, to be honest, as we all know. But you know, we're ticking over. That's 4 unbeaten. We've always said that Dave Challoner's got a habit of putting little runs together in the second half of the season. We come alive, and it's, you know, dare we say it, but you know, we sort of getting into a 3rd gear now, and over the next sort of 5 or 6 games, we'll see if we can actually get into 4th and 5th gear.
Yeah. I think it's going to be tough. Saturday will be a tough game. I think Barnsley are better away from home than they are at home, aren't they? If I'm right in what I've seen, but it'll be tough. But it might be a game that suits us because they might come out at us a bit. So I think always tends to suit us a bit more and gives a bit more space. But yeah, I don't think there's any reason why we can't maintain what we're doing. You know.
But it is still a very much a weird division now, isn't it? Especially with them bottom 4 teams finding a bit of form and winning games. There's nobody really. I think we're the only team that's got 3 wins together on the bounce on the form table. There's nobody's got that. So, you know, if you look over the last 5, 6, 7, 8 games, then yeah, these teams that have got a bit of form. But over the last 3 games, everybody else has dropped points, I believe. You know, even Birmingham, you know, they've got a draw in them last 3 games. Wickham have got 2 draws and 1 win. Wrexham have got a draw and a win and a loss. So yeah, it's a table now, a division that, you know, even like I say, the bottom teams are picking up the wins, so anyone can beat anyone. So yeah, a bit of we can put this run together, and like I say, the gap now between us and out of the playoff, I think, is 6 points, isn't it? So yeah, we're just going to keep this little run together.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, thank you for joining us again, Lee.
Yeah, it got in the end. I've got one of the pots now.
Yeah. You go and wash the pots, mate. And
you got Tanto doing the drying up.
No, that'd be my daughter.
Brilliant. Okay, then. Well, cheers, Lee. Cheers, Dan.
No.
And we'll see you again soon.
See you all later.
See you in a bit.
And that's a wrap for this episode of the Scarf Bagara War. We hope you enjoyed the podcast. Remember, you can catch us every week on your favourite podcast platform, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts. And a huge thank you to all of our Patreon members. Your contributions help keep the show running to bring the content you love. If you'd like to support the podcast and get access to exclusive special guest episodes, ad-free podcasts and a monthly giveaway, head over to patreon.com/the Scarf Bagara War. And don't forget to follow us on social media for updates, behind the scenes content and more. You can find us on X, Facebook and Instagram, all at County Podcast. Lastly, if you enjoyed the show, please leave us a review and share it with your fellow County fans. Your feedback helps us improve and reach more listeners. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on the Scarf Bagara War. Come on, County!